Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're going to be comparing a 2021 Dodge Charger SXT to a 2021 Dodge Challenger SXT. Both of these have all-wheel drive as well. So, with all that being said, a huge shout out and thank you to the Dodge Ram here in Sandy for giving me some time with both of the cars. Check out their inventory in the link below. Let's get straight into the video. Now let's go into the hoods of both of the cars. Starting over here with the Challenger, we have a naturally aspirated 3.6 liter V6 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 18 around town and then 27 on the highway, with power outputs being 305 horsepower and then 268 pound-feet of torque. Popping over to the Charger, we again have a naturally aspirated 3.6 liter V6 that also goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is also 18 around town and then 27 on the highway, but power is a little bit less at 300 horsepower and then 264 pound-feet of torque. But if I'm being completely honest, from a driving perspective, this feels just as quick as this. Now let's go over the rest of the front end of both of the cars. So both of them actually have a similar lighting situation. They're just different. So both of them have like LED accent lights with projector halogen bulbs, which is pretty interesting. But coming over to the Challenger, obviously it has kind of like that more old school muscle car aesthetics. You've got like the really flat hood with the venting there at the top. And then you've got the, again, muscular design with the front end. So everything is kind of like flat edges. You've got the circular headlights, all that kind of stuff. Just really looks like the older Challengers. And then coming over here to the Chargers, kind of like the more modern, sleeker design. So you can see the hood's a little bit more rounded. The front end is a little bit more rounded off as well. And what's kind of funny is this almost looks like a Honda Accord from the front end. Like the whole like design. I'll try to like remember to put like a picture of a Honda Accord, but you guys, if you've seen them, you know what I'm talking about. But other than that, they're both good looking cars from the front end, just kind of go about things a little bit differently. Let's go over the tire and wheel setup of both of the cars. So starting over here with the Challenger, we've got two 35mm tires that are wrapped around 19-inch wheels. And then over on the Charger, we also have two 35mm tires that are wrapped around 19-inch wheels. And then the sets there in the back of both the cars are identical as well. And if you guys actually look at the design on the wheels themselves, you can see you've got like a dark metallic gray with the wheel, and the Charger has the same exact design with the wheel. So they're the same from that perspective. But if we pop up here and look at the mirrors, you guys can see the mirrors on the Charger kind of have that more like modern look to them from a design standpoint. They're also blacked out as part of the blacktop package, whereas on the Challenger, you can see it's kind of like that more like old school bubble design with the mirror itself. And with all that being said, well, let's head to the back. Now let's go into the rears of both of the cars. Starting over here with the Charger, you guys can see you've got a massive trunk with a massive opening here with the Charger. Storage space is just plentiful back here. And then if you guys are wondering, the Charger does come with a spare tire, which is kind of hard to get into it, but you guys can see you've got the spare just underneath that little area here with the Charger. But just notice how large the opening is. And then coming over to the Challenger, the storage space actually back here is actually pretty much identical. It's just the opening is a little bit different. And again, if you pull a little strap back, you do get a spare tire here with the Challenger. The biggest difference is just the opening here at the rear. So the opening there, it doesn't come down into the bodywork for the design of the car. Whereas with the Charger, since it's a sedan, they kind of like bring it down a little bit. So it's got just a little bit more of an opening. Go the rest of the rear of the cars again, starting with the Charger. You guys can see you've got the massive LED light bar, and before the lights pop off on the Challenger, you guys can see that you've got the signature LED lights there. I like them both for different reasons, but obviously whenever you see the Charger, you go, oh, is that a cop car? And then you guys can see you've got the full black spoiler here at the top of the Charger. You've got your Charger Dash 4 badge to let you know it's four-wheel drive, and then you do have parking sensors here on the back. And then you guys can see just down below, you've got little exhaust tip coverings, kind of like a wedge shape. And then coming over to the Challenger, obviously it's harder to see things because it's all blacked out. Like it doesn't contrast as nicely as what the Charger has, because the Charger has the white paint. But on the Challenger, you still get the black spoiler, you still get the little Dash 4 badge, but it's like hidden there on the spoiler itself. Again, really hard to see. And then you also get kind of like the wedge type exhaust tips, well, not exhaust tips, but the little coverings for the exhaust tips themselves. But from a design standpoint, I definitely prefer the look of the Challenger on the back end. but the Charger's still a really good looking car. Pop in the backs of both the cars, starting over here with the Charger. You guys can see that you've got the cloth trim there on the side of the door panel with a soft touch leather just down below, and you got little light control just right next to it. And then coming to the seats, you've got like the dark gray cloth with a lighter gray cloth on the seats themselves, and yeah, they look pretty cool. But let's pop into the Charger. So if we step into the Charger, I do have to duck a little bit to get in. If you're wondering, I'm 5'11", and I can sit upright, and I've got a little bit of headroom. And then you guys can see legroom is pretty good as well. And then coming over here, you've got some vents right there with some USBs. And then this does pull down to be some cup holders here in the Charger. But again, decent amount of storage space in general. And then popping out of the Charger, it's pretty easy. But let's close that up. And then coming over here to the Challenger, you guys can see this is the door panel for the front. Obviously, we're going to go over stuff in the rear. You guys can see that you've got like the houndstooth design there on the cloth seats. But obviously, I got to torture myself with trying to squeeze back here, which is obviously harder than the Charger since this is a two-door versus a four-door. Now, interestingly enough, I don't have the same headroom. Like if I go all the way up, then I touch with my head. And then legroom, when the seat's back, my legs are like that pretty much. Still get some vents here, still get a little cup holder thing. So obviously, just a little bit different from the space perspective. There's less headroom and less legroom in the Challenger. Let's go over the door panel here at the front of the Charger. So you guys can see, again, you've got the cloth trim right there with the stitching throughout, soft touch leather just down below. All of your window controls and then your mirror adjustments as well. And then this does come with the Alpine sound system. And then here are the seats at the front. So again, you got the cloth seats with the darker gray there on the outside, and then the lighter gray on the interior of the seats. Power adjustments here for the front seats. And then here's what the pedal layout looks like at the bottom. And then you guys can see you've got the light controls right here. And then you got a little release for the trunk. Steering wheel is manually adjustable. And there's one more look before we actually pop into the Charger. So here's the steering wheel with the Charger. You guys will notice you got soft touch leather at the top and on the sides. And then you do have those paddle shifters right there on the back end of the steering wheel. Controls for the center stack, you got your voice command phone controls as well. And you got your cruise control just there on the other side. And then you do have a little control for the windshield wiper stock. That's also the turn signal stock. And then popping here into the center, you've got the center stack with the RPMs in red. And then the speed is also in red, which I think is pretty cool. And then you got the little center stack, which you can scroll through a couple different menus on the car. I like the little performance thing. Nothing too crazy. You guys have seen this in a bunch of Dodges. And then coming here to the center infotainment system itself, you guys can see, first off, we'll go over the backup camera. So we've got trajectory lines. They do turn with the steering wheel on that. Nothing too crazy with that system. As for the rest of the infotainment system, response time's really good. So if I press a couple things, happens instantaneously. This does come with a dual zone climate. It does come with heated seats and a heated steering wheel. And then the one thing the Charger does have is the performance controls. You guys can see that this is like your drive mode setup pretty much, and then it does have the launch control as well. And then it also does have the performance pages, which while those are loading up, you guys can see, again, you got like the time and the temperature outside, which that time isn't correct. It's definitely not 6 o'clock right now. But while that's loading up, down below, we've got our analog controls for the radio, and then you got the little sport mode button, which you press that, and that'll pop on right there with the sport mode. And then you've got the Super Track Pack, which will pull up basically your display. We'll show that in just a second. Here's the performance pages. Again, it shows like real-time horsepower, torque. And then if I press the Super Track Pack, it just brings up the performance control again. And then we've got our dual zone climate controls right here. Got a little 12 volt, and then you've got the shifter for the 8-speed automatic. Again, you can shift the gears yourself with the shifter or with the paddles if you do want to do that. And then just down below, we've got some cup holders here with a little covering that pops out with those cup holders. And then there's the center console, which decent amount of storage space. There's a 12 volt in there, and then there's a coin holder as well. And then coming to the glove box, lined with felt, decent amount of storage space. It says Charger there at the top. And then finishing things up at the top of the car, we do have the sunroof controls, and then you do get a sunroof here in the Charger. All black headliner, sunglass holder as well. And let's head to the Challenger. Now here's the door panel with the Challenger. You guys can see that again, you got the cloth trim with the leather just down below. And then you guys can see you've got all the controls for the windows, your mirror adjustment, all that kind of stuff. Nothing too crazy. And then coming to the seats here in the Challenger, you guys can see you've got the cloth seats. You've got the houndstooth design there in the center portion of the seats, which looks really cool. And then notice that part of the seat's power adjustable, the other part is manually adjustable. And then just down below, we've got the pedal layout here at the bottom. And then you guys can see you've got the light control right there. And then the release for the trunk. The steering wheel is manually adjustable. And there's one more look before we pop in. Now I'm just going to go over the things that are different in the Challenger. So you guys can see with the steering wheel, everything's the same except the Challenger does not have the paddle shifters in the back like the Charger does. And then everything here in the center gauge cluster is all the same. It looks a little bit different with the gauges themselves, but other than that, like the center screen, all that is the same with the Challenger and the Charger. Now the other difference is the screen. So the Challenger does have a smaller screen, so you guys can see the backup camera. When I pop it into reverse, it does look a little bit different, obviously because, well, it's smaller. And then the trajectory lines still turn, all that kind of stuff. With the rest of the screen, it's got most of the same functions. So you still get the heated seats, heated steering wheel, all that kind of stuff. You still get the dual zone climate controls, but you do not have the performance control. You don't have the launch control, and then you don't have the performance pages with this infotainment system either. This car just doesn't have those features. And then coming down below here, you can see a lot of the controls are the same, except again, you don't have the super track pack, so it doesn't have a little shortcut button to the performance controls, but you still get the sport mode, which you press that. Still gives you a little flag right there with the Challenger. But yeah, other than that, that's all the same. The shifter is identical between both the cars, but notice that there's not as much storage space here on the side of the shifter. And then you guys can see you still get cup holders. Center console, obviously not as practical as what the Charger has, but you get some USBs, 12-volt auxiliary, all that kind of stuff inside there. Nice stitching that goes all along here. And then coming over here to the glove box, this is actually pretty much the same, but notice that you have the Challenger logo there at the top portion. And then finishing things up here at the very top, you guys can see that we've got the little sunglass holder, which is in a different location. Sunroof controls right there, and then you still get a sunroof here. Still get a black headliner. So most stuff is similar between the cars, but there are some differences. Now let's go over the pricing of both the cars. So the Charger stickers for about $38,000, and then the Challenger stickers for about $36,000. Now obviously we do have to pick a winner for today's video, so let's quickly go over everything. So first and foremost, from a styling perspective, I definitely love the old school look with the Challenger. That old school kind of like muscle car look definitely looks prettier in my perspective, but I can understand that someone might like the more modern look of the Charger. And then obviously you've got the added practicality with 4 doors versus the 2 doors here on the Challenger. Now from a performance standpoint, if you guys haven't seen my reviews, go watch my reviews on these cars individually where I actually drive them. I can't really perceive a difference in terms of the acceleration between both the cars. They feel pretty much identical, so you're not really getting a difference from a performance standpoint, although the Challenger does technically weigh a little bit less compared to the Charger. And so just kind of like taking everything into consideration, I'm actually going to pick the Charger as the winner for today. I feel like it's a better value. It's a little bit more money than the Challenger, but on the flip side, it's more practical and it has a few more features than the Challenger at not much more of a price premium. So I definitely think it's worth it, but I want you guys to let me know in the comment section below, would you pick the Challenger or the Charger? That is going to sum things up for today's video, comparing this 2021 Dodge Challenger SXT Blacktop to this 2021 Dodge Charger SXT Blacktop. But again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Dodge Ram here in Sandy for giving me some time with both the cars. Check out their inventory in the link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.